Now, let us see the second chapter in that industrial chemistry, glass. In glass, we have to discuss about the definition of glass and the raw materials used for the manufacture of glass. And we have two methods are there: manufacture of glass by pot furnace method and tank furnace method. But as far as the syllabus is concerned, we have to discuss only pot furnace method and physical properties and chemical properties of glass and glass industries in India, along with the types of glasses there. So these things are there in the syllabus of 6.1 inorganic chemistry, that is industrial chemistry, in the chapter glass. We shall see the definition. The physical definition of glass, you can define it as a hard, rigid, undercooled, brittle, non-crystalline substance having no definite melting point, and it is having high sufficient viscosity to prevent crystallization. Chemically, the glass may also be defined as it is a fused mixture of silicates, alkali and alkaline earth compounds and other glass constituents such as calcium oxide, magnesium oxide, tin oxide, barium oxide, lead oxide, and glass is completely a vitrified product. The major ingredients of manufacture of this glass is sand and limestone and soda ash. Other raw materials may also be used here, and they will be considered as minor ingredients. Lime, silica, soda ash, they are forming nearly about 90% of all the glasses of the world, whereas the other ingredients such as borax, boric acid, potash, zinc oxide are added in given certain other properties to the glass there. So depending upon the end use, we use these constituents in minor proportions. So these are called as minor ingredients. And everyone is knowing about usage of this glass there because of its properties. We can discuss the properties of this glass in two categories: physical properties and chemical properties. Physical properties of glass. Glasses are usually transparent, amorphous solids. Glass is completely vitrified product. Glasses are hard and rigid and have no definite melting point. They have sufficiently high viscosity, greater than 10 raised to 13 poise. They are insulators of heat and electricity, and they can incorporate coloring material, preserving transparency. So in glass you can have both color as well as transparency there. These are some physical properties of glasses. Like that, we can consider some chemical properties of glass. Glass is not attacked by air and oxidizing agents. Ordinary glass is readily attacked by alkalis but very resistant to acids except hydrofluoric acid. And glass is a silicate, and HF reacts with it to form SiF4 gas and fluorides of metals. So Na2O SiO2 plus 6HF giving rise to 2NaF plus SiF4 plus 3H2O. Calcium silicate CaO SiO2 plus 6HF giving rise to CaF2 plus SiF4 plus 3H2O. Ordinary glass is alkaline in reaction. Water slowly reacts on glass to form sodium hydroxide, and this reaction is enhanced in the presence of acids. If bottles containing acids are kept for a longer time, silicic acid has been found to be deposited on the glass of the bottles. The glass known as neutral glass, of which Pyrex glass is an example, contains very small amount of alkali silicates. When fused with large excess of fusion mixture, glass decomposes into alkali silicates, carbonates of other metals. If the resulting mass is cooled and treated with dilute HCl, silicic acid as well as chlorides of metals are formed. We can characterize this glass by important characteristics of it, that is hardness, transparency, refractive capacity, dispersive capacity, low coefficient of cubic expansion, high electrical insulation, low chemical or low thermal conductivity, capacity of absorbance, decorative colors without loss of transparency, and chemical inertness under ordinary conditions. Now we shall discuss about the raw materials and the manufacture. Raw materials usually quartz, sand, boric acid, borax, soda ash, sodium sulfate, caustic potash, limestone, magnesite, barite, that is barium sulfate, or witherite, that is barium carbonate, kaolin, that is Al2O3, 2SiO2, 2H2O, minium, Pb3O4, or litharge, PbO, zinc carbonate, feldspars, that is aluminosilicates of sodium, potassium, and calcium, and also crushed glass and waste products of other process, that is blast furnace slag. So these are some raw materials used for the manufacture of glass. The different raw materials used in the manufacture of glass are sand in the form of quartz containing very little percentage of iron oxide is used here, which is used for manufacture of optical glass, as iron affects the color of most glasses very adversely. Another raw material is soda ash, that is Na2O, which is principally supplied by anhydrous soda ash, that is sodium carbonate. And sodium nitrate is useful in oxidizing iron silicate to less visible yellow ferric silicate and also helps in accelerating the melting. Another raw material is calcium oxide, which we call it as lime, which is supplied by limestone and burnt lime from dolomite, that is calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate. Another raw material we call it as salt cake, which are sulfates such as ammonium and barium sulfates, used in almost all types of glasses. Salt cake has been found to remove the troublesome scum from tank furnaces. Charcoal or powdered coal is used along with sodium sulfate to reduce it to sulfite. Feldspar. Feldspars have the general formula R2O, Al2O3, 6H2O, where R2O is either sodium oxide or potassium oxide, or a mixture of both. K2O, nitrates of either sodium or potassium act to oxidize iron. That's how potassium carbonate or potassium nitrate or potash feldspar is used as a source of potassium oxide, which increases the softening and mobile melting points of glass. Borax. Borax is used as a source of sodium oxide and boron trioxide, B2O3, which increases the hardness or refractory character of glass. Glass containing borax can withstand sudden change of temperature, which increases the chemical durability also. Borax is usually used in the manufacture of container glasses, optical glasses, and borosilicate glasses, which are having low coefficient of expansion while heating. Then boric acid. Boric acid is also used in batches where only a small amount of alkali is required. Then lead oxide, PbO, which increases the refractive index of the glass. The glass containing PbO is used for optical purposes. Selenium is also used as a decolorizer in small amount in some glasses. MnO2 is also used as a decolorizer. And in the manufacture, we use large percentage of cullet. Cullet means it is crushed or broken glass from imperfect articles. Trim or otherwise waste glass materials are called as cullet. And some refractory materials are also we are using. Special refractory materials have been used in the glass manufacture. They include sintered zircon, alumina, mullite, chrome, alumina, zirconia, alumina, silica, etc. And in the manufacture of glass, it involves 5 steps there. First step is formation of batch material. We have to prepare batches for the purpose of manufacture of a particular type of glass. That means for the manufacture of borosilicate glass, one type of batch material. For the manufacture of optical glass, another type of batch material. For the manufacture of colored glass, another type of batch material. Like that, depending upon the end use there, what type of glass materials we are going to manufacture, on that basis we have to form the batch there. That is, the first step is formation of batch material. Second step is melting. So in melting, we have to completely melt these batch materials there. For that purpose, 2 procedures we are following. One is tank furnace method, another one is pot furnace method. As far as the syllabus is concerned, we have to discuss only the pot furnace method. So in melting, we discuss about pot furnacing method. Then third stage is shaping. After melting, we have to shape it there, shaping. Fourth step is annealing, and the last step is finishing. After the fifth step, after the last step, the finished glass material is coming out for the usage there. So now let us discuss one by one. First one, formation of the batch material. The lumps of ingredients such as limestone, burnt limestone, dolomite, feldspar, etc. are crushed to coarse powder. Other ingredients such as quartz sand, soda ash, etc. are also obtained in proper particle size. Requisite quantities of different ingredients are separately weighed and then mixed uniformly in the form of coarse powder. And this mixture of powdered ingredients is called as batch material. And this batch is now transferred either to the tank or a tank furnace or to the pots in the pot furnace. That's why the second step is melting. That is either by tank furnace method or by pot furnace method. So we shall discuss the pot furnace method here. In this type of furnace, the glass is melted in either closed or open pots placed inside the combustion chamber of the furnace in a circle. You can see the pot furnace here. A pot is a large monkey shaped crucible made from high alumina fire clay such as mullite 3Al2O3 2SiO2. So at the right side of the diagram we are representing that monkey shaped pot there. A pot is of about 2 tons capacity. The number of pots generally varies from 6 to 20 except in the case of optical glass where only one pot is used. Pot furnaces are either rectangular or circular in the form. Rectangular furnaces with open pots are used for casting thick plate glass and glass of special composition. Circular pot furnaces with covered pots are used for melting relatively small batches of special composition. The furnace is generally fired on the regenerative principle of heat economy because this is the most economical system. However, preheating has also been used in which empty pots are heated to about 1400 degrees centigrade and then the mixed charge is gradually added in the hot pot until they become full of molten glass. The regenerative system is, however, most common. Here you can observe that here air is entering inside, fuel gases are entering inside of the pot furnace at the left hand side and flue gases are coming out of the pot furnace at the right hand side there. So that by the regenerative principle here the heat has been constantly going on, increasing it there. So much heat is saved by this regenerative principle and a higher temperature is achieved. The burnt gases from the furnace are allowed to pass through one set of chambers sacked with open fire brick checkwork called as regenerators, which become highly heated as a result of hot burnt gases passing through them. Simultaneously, air is being preheated by passing up the other previously regenerative chamber and is mixed with the fuel gas burned. The flow directions of air and fuel are reversed at intervals of 20 to 30 minutes. The incoming air and fuel gas are led through regenerators, while the burnt furnace gases go to heat another check work, now considerably cooled in the previous air gas run. The air rising through the regenerator is again preheated and the flame passes through the furnaces to go to an outgoing pot and completes the second cycle after entering into another set of regenerators. In this manner, heat of the burnt waste gases is utilized in heating up the incoming gas and air previous to burning. That's how this air have been recycled here. Heat has been constantly going on increasing, so that the batch materials which are present in that pots there, they are completely melt there. That's how in second step of melting in pot furnace we consider this procedure, so that we can melt the batch material. So what are the chemical reactions taking place in the furnace? So glass is a solid solution having no definite composition. However, ordinary glass may approximately be written as sodium calcium silicates, that is Na2O, CaO, 6SiO2. When quartz or silica is heated with soda ash, sodium carbonate, the silica, being an acidic oxide, displaces the carbonic acid from the carbonate and compound known as sodium silicate is formed. That's how sodium carbonate plus SiO2 giving rise to Na2SiO3, sodium silicate plus carbon dioxide. When this is allowed to cool, it solidifies to a glass mass known as water glass, which is soluble in water. The limestone, calcium carbonate, also reacts with silica to give a glassy mass on cooling known as calcium silicate, which is insoluble in water but soluble in acids. So equation CaCO3 calcium carbonate plus SiO2 silica giving rise to calcium silicate CaSiO3 plus CO2. But if silica is simultaneously fused with sodium carbonate and calcium carbonate, that is soda ash and limestone, sodium calcium sulfate is obtained, which sets to a glassy mass on cooling, and it is insoluble in water and acid both. So Na2CO3 plus CaCO3 plus 6SiO2 giving rise to Na2O 6SiO2 plus 2CO2, that is sodium silicate. Sometimes a mixture of salt cake, sodium sulfate and charcoal is fused with sand and limestone to get a glassy mass. So 2Na2SO4 plus 2SiO2 plus C giving rise to 2Na2SiO3 plus CO2 plus 2SO2. And sodium silicate Na2SiO3 plus calcium carbonate plus 5SiO2 silica giving rise to sodium calcium silicate, that is Na2CaO 6SiO2 plus CO2. So these are the chemical reactions which are taking place in the furnace. Then after this second stage melting, now that molten glass has been taken out from the pots there, and third step has been taken, that is called as shaping of the plate glass. The molten glass is allowed to pass between two water cooled rollers made of steel, and these rollers give to the glass a plastic ribbon configuration. The ribbon of glass then passes into an annealing chamber where it is cooled from 590 degrees centigrade to 38 degrees centigrade at the exit. After annealing, the ribbon may be cut into sheets for grinding and polishing. This is how we are giving some shape for the molten glass. That's why it is called as shaping. Third step is shaping. Now fourth step is annealing. The glass must be cooled very slowly, and this process of slow cooling, which is used to reduce strain, is called as annealing. If glass is suddenly cooled, then there is a possibility of breakage. broken down. That's why to avoid that thing there, it should be slowly cooled. And the process of slow cooling, we call it as annealing. So next step is annealing. Fourth step is annealing of the shaped glass. Last step is finishing. All types of annealed glass require finishing. Finishing is usually carried out by cleaning, washing, grinding, polishing, cutting, sandblasting, enameling, grading and gazing. Washing and cleaning are of course applied to all kinds of articles, although the methods of finishing are adapted according to the requirements. So depending upon the end use, for what purpose the glass is going to use there, on that basis we apply these finishing techniques like polishing, cutting, sandblasting, enameling, grading or gazing stages there. And combinedly this step is called as finishing. That's how a finished glass product is coming out of the system there. Now we shall discuss some of the special glasses. Types of glasses. As far as our syllabus is concerned, we have to discuss some of the types of glasses there. First one is fused silica glass. It is known as quad glass or vitreous silica glass, and it is resistant to thermal as well as chemical. The glass is transparent to ultraviolet radiation because of its low thermal expansion, and it is used for telescope mirrors. That type of glasses we call them as fused silica glass. Second type of special glasses are high silica glass. As the name itself indicates, and here we have high silica content, and commercially it is also called as Vicar, where fused silica in some of its properties. It contains about 96% of SiO2 and 3% of B2O3, and the rest alumina and alkali. This glass has high chemical durability and extremely stable to all acids except hydrofluoric acid. Next type of glass is optical glass, and those glasses with high homogeneity and special composition which have definite optical characteristics of such accuracy as to permit their use in scientific instruments. Such type of glass are called as optical glasses. The batch should produce glass of sufficiently low viscosity. The glass should not devitrify even upon long annealing. It should produce nearly a colorless product without the use of coloring material, and it should be free from bubbles. It should have advantageous grinding and polishing properties, and it should be capable of withstanding the action of atmosphere. Those are the salient features of this optical glass. Next one, borosilicate glass. This is an example of optical glass and contains about 13 to 28% of borax and 80 to 87% of silica. It is having low expansion coefficient, superior resistance to shock, high electrical resistance and high chemical stability. And they have been used in the manufacture of baking dishes, laboratory glassware, pipelines, insulators and washers. Other type of glasses are lead glasses, and these glasses are obtained by mixing lead oxide, silica and alkali with lead content as high as 92%. They have been widely used in optical work because of their high index of refraction and high dispersion. They are also used in the manufacture of electric bulbs, neon tubing and radiators because of high electric resistance of the glass. Other type of glasses, colored glasses, extensively used in natural life there, colored glass, and these colored glasses are used for decoration, technical and scientific purposes. Colored glass can be prepared in pot furnaces from the batch material containing inorganic coloring agents, usually metallic oxides. So colored glasses is of three types, where color is produced by the absorption of certain light frequencies by coloring agents in solution. Coloring agents used for this purpose are the oxides of transition elements such as those of titanium, vanadium, chromium, manganese, iron, cobalt, nickel and copper. Nickel oxide is soluble in sodium lead glass, yielding a brown color, but in potash glass it dissolves to give a heliotrope. Second type of coloring matter is color is due to colloidal particles precipitated within the colorless glass as a result of heat treatment. For example, precipitation of colloidal gold producing gold ruby glass. The third type of coloring matter is color is due to microscopic or large particles which may be colored themselves. For example, selenium oxide or selenium reds used in traffic lights, lantern globes, etc. Then safety glasses. These are main class of safety glass: laminated and tempered or strengthened glass. The laminated glass may be prepared by placing a non-brittle plastic sheet between two thin plate glass sheets. The three sheets are pressed together under moderate heat to seal the edges. Ultimately, the three sheets are made into one single sheet. The edges of the sandwich may be sealed with a water resistant material. The plastics used for this purpose are proxylene or cellulose acetate, polyvinyl acetate, and polyvinyl butyryl acetal. The latter has widely been used as a capacity to elongate 300%. The tempered glass is very strong and tough and possesses high internal stresses. The already formed glass vessel or sheet to be strengthened by tempering or annealing is heated to 800 degree Fahrenheit, just below its softening point, and then quenched in air or molten salt or oil. The quenching produces a hard surface which resists bending and shattering forces. The interior pulls on the outside surface, putting it into compression, and the interior develops compensating tension and provides a very good strength to the glass. Such type of glass is used for doors and windows of automobiles and for pipes. Like that, we can have other type of glasses like flint glass, bottle glass, Pyrex glass, and Jena glass. These type of glass are also in use. Then glass industries in India. The art of glass making is well known in India for ages. Evidences of this existence of glass manufacturing industry about 2500 years ago, it is available from the study of glass beads, fragments, and clay crucibles obtained from Khopia area of Basti in UP. It is believed that the art of bangle making was originated in India during the Mughal period. However, the manufacture of glass in India was first attempted in 1870 at Zeelam, now it is in Pakistan, by Punjab Glass Works. Due to great loss in the factory, it was closed down. In 1914, there were only 3 factories in India, and in 1918, the number increased to 14, and most of them was with Japan collaboration. During 1923 to 24, 22 new factories were started. In 1945, the number of factories in India was 174. After independence, a large number of small and big factories are giving production, and they are not only able to meet a substantial part of the country's increasing requirements of glassware, but also developed export trades with some foreign countries. Some of the important glassworks in India are situated at Allahabad, Calcutta, Firozabad, Bazai, Amritsar, Ambala, Jabalpur, Haryana, Telangana or Telagaon, Bombay and Madras. So this is some brief idea about the glass industries in India. So the important questions available in this chapter glass is definition of glass, composition of glass, raw materials used for the glass manufacture, and manufacture of glass by pot furnace method, and those 5 steps which have been followed for the manufacture of glass. Then types of glasses and the glass industries in India. Thank you very much for your patience here.